try to really stick to October. Is that okay?
Yes.
Any other changes, additions? All right, let's move right along. All right, number 13, criteria and process for selecting board officers. So I did want to elevate here that it doesn't really dictate what time of year this happens, and I think that's appropriate because, you know, we know the cadence of elections, but we never know when someone will resign, or we never know when a trustee will move away. So I don't think we should explicitly, you know, recommend a time of year to talk about board officers. That can occur at any point. Do you guys have any?
I concur.
Okay. Do y'all have any changes?
One thing I just want to point out, I believe, Dennis, you can help me in this. I believe it does have to occur
once a year.
Once a year. And
Okay.
I think it does have to occur within a certain amount of time after the election.
Typically, it would simply say following the election. There will be, and following gives you a little bit broader opportunity.
We on E.
So do you guys think E addresses that or no? Election of officers is held at the regularly scheduled board meeting when the swearing in of newly elected trustees takes place.
Yeah, that was.
But it doesn't have to be E. That's my interpretation of this. Like, you can do officers at any time.
You can do it every meeting. Yes.
Right. If it's added to the agenda.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What else, y'all? We good on 13? Mm-hmm. All right. Number 14, role and authority of trustees and or board officers. So here we really kind of spell out what's under the president's purview, vice president, and secretary.
Is anyone in favor of stripping all duties from the vice president?
All one.
Then I think we're good as it is.
Okay. Y'all sure? Good?
Yes.
I don't want to rush people.
Okay, can you go back, let me just read through. 14, number 3, B.
Okay.
Individual trustees may serve on various school and community committees as they're requested, but not on district committees. Meaning, we can still serve on PTAs and councils of that nature or community, but we are not able to go serve on a district committee per se. But if somebody in the community is asking, usually Ann and I, to go serve on a community board, are they asking us as individuals, or are we going in our trustee capacities?
That's a good question.
It depends on the organization. I mean, if Girl Scouts asked me, I'd be going as an individual.
Okay. What about like United Way? And they're wanting more, or I'll use myself, okay, Dental Health Arlington, they asked me to come on as the rep for. Do I need to clear that with the president and we discuss it as a whole and give everybody an option, or is it no, they came and asked you, clear it with the president and move on?
Is it to represent our board?
So the only organization that I'm aware of that has in their bylaws that we have a rep from our board is Education Foundation. I know that there are some organizations that feel like they have a practice of wanting a trustee to be involved, but it's still not a district committee. So I would say notify us, let us know that you're doing it, but typically we don't have a direct say over, who they want to pick.
So I was more asking, like, do I need to come inform you as president and vice president or executive board, this is what I'm doing? That way, say Leanne once, she was like, oh, actually, I'm really passionate about that. Could I, when you're done with that, could I be appointed? So other people would know there's opportunities out there.
I'll just tell you how I've seen it in the past. I'm open to whatever y'all need on this one, but if it's you as a trustee, like if they are seeking you out because you're a trustee, then it should be talked about as a board, because you might rotate people through some of those things for the future. That's typically what I've seen in the past, and I'll use an example. I was recently approached about serving on a board, And I had to clarify with them, do you want me as the superintendent, or do you just want an Arlington ISD representative? Because that's an impactful piece right there, right? For you all as trustees, I think being able to clarify, do they want you as a community member, or do they want you as a trustee? Because eventually, you may not decide to run for a trustee spot again. And we gotta know, is that something that we are gonna fill with the board, or is it not? So I've seen that discussed. If you clarify and they say, no, we want you, you're a board member, then I think it discussed as a board about that. So.
I like that.
Are we then expected to give updates on what we're doing as a trustee on that board? Like, I feel like Brooklyn just muddied the waters for me in my head now. This is a good question, but now I'm like, you open the door to a bunch of follow-up questions.
Personally, for me, I think that's where I've seen in other districts in the past, that's where trustee reports come out. And when you're talking at the end of the board meeting and you share some things, it's about how you represented the district in your role as a trustee. So you might share a couple of things that you attended. Here's what the organization did, and just letting that way the rest of the 6 board members know what your capacity is there.
What do y'all think about that? I like that. And I mean, if it's, are you talking about the end of the meeting when we do board reports?
When you do your individual.
I especially like that because then if that was me, I'd be responsible for like knowing when the right time is to do it because I'm the one who went to the meeting. Justin might not know. So we might not have time to put that on the agenda. So if I just do that during board reports, we're all on the same page. I don't know that we need to change anything that's in the board handbook. What do you guys think?
I didn't know about change. I think I was more asking for personal clarification.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I would be okay adding something along the lines of individual trustees may serve on various school and community committees as they are requested, but not on district committees. And then add a sentence about if they do serve on school or community committees, provide notice to the board. So that way we just know.
Okay.
I mean, because I think that's about as far as I would be willing to go. Is like if Dental Health Arlington came to Brooklyn and said we'd like you to be on our board because we have a practice of having a trustee, I think letting the board know that is important. I don't want there to be an expectation of like we have a decision making on that independent organization's decision making, right? Because they know who the trustees are, and if they approached one, I don't think it's okay for us to come and say, well, actually, this other person wants to do it. I think most people would be okay with that, but I still don't think that's our purview, so I think a notice provision would be fine.
Okay, how does this sound? If individuals serve in a trustee capacity on any committee, trustees shall provide notice to the board president. What do you think?
I don't think it has to be. I think if you're on a school or community committee, period, in any capacity, we should know about it.
That's why I said any committee.
You said it in a capacity
In a
as a
trustee
trustee.
capacity.
Oh, so like even if it's not in a trustee capacity.
Yes.
Do you want to know about my personal life committee?
Just in
I'm
general.
assuming you know about all of them.
Yeah, I mean, like if you were on,
Just saying, maybe.
Girl Scouts.
yes.
Maybe I got some other
Provide
committees.
A
notice
church committee.
to the board. That's
But it's also a good practice because we do have partnerships and relationships with lots of organizations, and it might be important, like appearance of conflict, even if not formal legal conflict, just to know in advance.
okay. So I'm saving these for when we propose our first draft, but even then it's just a proposal. We're going to be able to have more than one reading, even when all this gets drafted. Anything else on that one? Okay. Role of the board in closed meeting. Any changes there?
Dennis, do you have any recommendations? Sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Hey, David, we have 10 minutes, so just have that.
Dennis, I think maybe one thing you can clarify is that if there are certain things that are permissible for a board to come into closed session to discuss based on state law.
Well, I think you could add something, what you've already said, it's based on the closed meeting agenda. And so our agenda hopefully will only include things that are proper under closed.
Right.
Okay.
There is an addition if you care, but I don't think you need to put it in here, which is at any time you can go into closed for legal advice on any subject. If you want to talk to your lawyer.
Even during the middle of a meeting.
In the middle of a meeting, it doesn't even have to be on the, I mean, it would be on the agenda, whatever you're talking about anyway. But you can go into closed because you don't want me to give a legal opinion on something out in public.
What does that look like as an example?
And guys, just a heads up, we have
quickly.
9 minutes to finish the whole handbook.
Okay, you've had several instances in the past where I've been asked to go up and explain something to the board, and you could choose to do that in closed session if you prefer.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that quick enough?
We only have 2 pages left.
Okay. And then I know that some of y'all have been wanting to talk about this. So this one I am going to read, and then we can kind of talk about any proposed tweaks. Media inquiries to the board. As it stands, here's what our handbook says. The board president shall be the official spokesperson for the board to the media and can only make statements on behalf of the board for items upon which the board has taken official action. B, individual statements and responses by trustees are only individual statements, and the trustee will emphasize such to the media, and that is all it says. It doesn't say anything about referring the media to communications. It doesn't say anything about that. So I did want to kind of spend some minutes here and hash this out.
And frankly, I would like some clarification too about what role you want our communications team to play in this. Typically, I've seen a couple different models, and I think it's just us being clear on how you want that to work. I want our trustees to be able to feel like they have voice. I also know sometimes you want things filtered through the communications department first. So I think just being able to clearly say how we want that flow to work, because frankly, we could say to the news media, hey, reach out to the communications department and they can cycle through different trustees at different topics based on your passions or whatever it is and get you in contact and arrange everything.
And I feel like that's what we normally do. So that's why I was like, should we add that to this? You know, I just want to throw that out there.
So do we need to be explicit using the example from 2 years or 3 years ago at TASB after the delegate assembly? I was approached by a reporter for TASB, Beth, and she did an article. She interviewed me on the spot. I was the only person from AISD. She wanted to talk about trustee talks. So I told her about trustee talks, and then at the end said, hey, you should, let me give you Anita's contact. And I think Melody was the board president at the time. I said, Melody Fowler is someone else you need to talk to. And then I also mentioned Sarah McMurrow, since it was her brainchild. That caused a sting.
It did.
And I don't think it should have. So I don't think we want to restrict and say that if someone approaches with a fellow trustee that's no longer on the board. So I don't think we want to set a rule that trustees are forbidden, only the president can speak to a reporter if a reporter is on
Is
deadline.
this in reference to the delightful interview we all did at picnic table?
That was a follow-up, yes. That was a follow-up. There was an article that occurred before you were on the board that caused the
It's
sting.
making my eye twitch.
So really, it can be what we want it to be. We just need to calibrate around what that is.
Yeah, no, I think communication should absolutely be involved in, and when any reporter approaches any of us, and we need to give them the heads up, or if it's something that we feel more comfortable about getting official talking points on, but in general, deference needs to be given to the board president. But something like that, you know, Justin was in the delegate assembly and she wanted to interview us right then, and it was not anything controversial.
Right.
We shouldn't be forbidden from speaking to the press, but we do need to we need to clarify what the protocol is in those situations. That's
So
all
are
I'm
you
trying to
thinking
say.
in that situation you should have said, we would love to speak with you about this, reach out to our president or communications period?
Yeah, so I'm going to just say I like the way that this is already here.
It's pretty clear.
I think it's pretty clear. There are so many permutations of how communications with the press can come along that we're not going to be able to spell this out. I mean, I think so much of it's a judgment call. I mean, but also we don't want to, I think it would be weird to anytime somebody talks to you from the press, you say that you got to talk to communications or you defer things to Anita or me. That's not realistic.
And
I mean, I just use your judgment. I mean, if it's something that it's a big deal and you're caught on the spot and you need it, yeah. I mean, say that you want to talk to communications or you want to defer it to the president, but I think trying to go down the road of anticipating which situations you should be able to do that and do it in this one and not others, I think is pretty hard. The only thing and this is just me, but the only thing I personally care about is, because this is just how it should be, like we're trained on this, is you can't speak for the board.
That's right.
Right.
I mean, I am reluctant as president to ever say I'm speaking for the board. That is a weird thing for me to say. I've never actually said it. And so just emphasize it. I think most of us do a good job of this, is that this is my opinion. I'm not speaking for the board, and we're pretty well versed on that.
And something we have to keep in mind too is we're making this handbook for all, like not just us, but trustees in general. Right, and that's the only reason why I at least want to consider adding something about communications, even if it's just something like media inquiries should be brought to the communications office attention.
I
like
agree.
as a courtesy. The board president can still speak to media and should speak to media, but do you guys think that they ought to know when we're talking to the media?
Yes, and that's why I brought that example up. And I thought I did the right thing because I immediately came back and I emailed Anita and I told Melody about it. And I think both need the courtesy of, hey, this reporter reached out to me, FYI, there's an article going to come out. We all need that. And I think that's a common courtesy. And I have no problem adding that. I don't want to restrict our voice, but I think we do need follow a protocol to, as a courtesy to the board president and communication, because communication might be able to help spin it and get it, the reporter's inquiring about something negative, they might be able to provide talking points that make a more balanced report in the end. Because that's their job.
We don't have to spin anything. We just always have to be truthful and transparent. And if communications can help us give a clearer outline, maybe what it could do, because I was thinking...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean spin, but...
Right. Thinking about, let's think about in the world of security we live in nowadays. And when something happens on a campus, we get calls from different people who find our information, email, cell phone, of, can you give a statement about what happened at Sam Houston? Can you... Well, in that case, we all typically refer to communications. I know for myself, when I was contacted, I immediately told Justin, and then we refer as board president, and then turned it over to communicate, just so you know I've been contacted. Mm-hmm. So is there maybe something that we could say going forward, if you're contacted by the media, follow point B, which is you can speak, but you're speaking as an individual, not trustee, but do notify board president that you have been contacted by the media. From there, that board president would be knowledgeable enough to say, this is good enough, or the board president will say, yeah, go ahead and let communications know that. But that's a tree right there. You're contacted by media, you either speak as an individual, and if you do, let a board officer know.
So what would you want to add to B?
Giving more direction is all. I mean, if you're truly saying you want more of an outline plan and to make it clear and simple,
so just add on to B, is that what you're saying? Like media inquiries should be brought to the board president's attention?
Notify the board president
Okay.
if contacted by media.
All right, what do you guys think? Everyone else?
I would.
Definitely not silencing anybody though, because.
And I think for us, that gives us a heads up, and we might be able to call you and say, hey, is there anything that they asked that you want us to provide additional information on, more data?
Yep, that's critical.
I think that's great.
Okay, so,
Let the professionals
All I heard was president.
clean up.
no, I said comms. So are we, comms and the board president?
No, because board president would then, that would be the board president's decision to say,
No, look, communication, it's their job to handle the press. They know the personalities. they need to know an article might be coming out, even if they don't provide input.
Well, then
That's a common courtesy is to let communications know.
Okay, then we notify president and communications, CC them on everything.
Yeah.
And the
Do
superintendent.
you agree?
Yeah, totally. I'm
Comms,
fine with
board
anything, we just
president,
wanna
and
make sure we're hitting the
superintendent.
target for y'all.
Comms, board president, and superintendent.
Sure.
Any opposition on that? Okay, we're gonna draft that. Next section, and we have
We're out of time.
-1 minute.
So I feel like
We
unless
can-
somebody
we
has
can-
something burning, I feel like we actually have talked about 18
Yes.
recently, independently, so I don't have a whole lot of heartburn on missing that unless anybody has something on 17.
Leanne has a comment.
I have a lot of changes on 15.
I have a comment, not to like stir up anything, but for clarification. So on 18A, individual trustees are encouraged to express their concerns privately about another trustee's performance directly with that trustee. I don't believe we're doing that.
We need to do better about that.
So I just wanted to bring that up, saying that it would be nice if you have a concern about something said or something done that you reach out to the trustee, not to the president to reach out to the trustee. I think that then creates a telephone game versus just addressing whatever you may have concern over.
So you would only reach, according to this, you would only reach out to the president if the trustee does not resolve the concern.
Yeah, if you felt perhaps the conversation didn't go well, or maybe it got heated, or it continued to happen, whatever it is, I don't know. But I think that it's best practice in life in general to take a concern directly to the person.
Yes.
Especially when we are colleagues working together on things. I just think it will make for a more cohesive team if we
Agreed.
follow this practice. So
Agreed.
that was it. Sorry, we're over time.
No, no,
No, we're good.
we're on 18. Which item was that?
All right, thank y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
I have one thing, I'm gonna have Priscilla hand you, we talked about making some changes to the board calendar in this. It's the same thing that I gave you earlier this year. I'm just giving you another copy. If you go home, look at it, and have any questions and you wonder about it, there's a calendar in here that is really, I think, supposed to be about what are the required things that we need to do by month, and then we have a more detailed calendar for planning. So that's the updated one. On the left-hand side, you see our current one, going from top to bottom. On the right-hand side is what's proposed based on our practice and what we're legally required to do. So if you have any questions about it, just let me know. But last time we talked, you said you're okay with me continuing with this. So.
All right. So we will recess and reconvene in closed session beginning at 5:33 p.m. under sections 551.071 through 551.084 and 551.089 of the Texas Government Code, in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act for the topics set forth on our agenda. So at this time, we will ask those not foreclosed to, we'll see you later.